Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another edition of the Darren Newman Dialogue. So great to have you with us again today. And when we last left off, we were talking about a subject matter that I think we're going to start up again today, and we're going to continue. So, Dr. Newman, hello to you and welcome
Hey,
again.
hello, my friend. Good to see you today.
Great to
Thank
see
you.
you too. Great to see you. Just a
Yeah, it's
reminder
great to
again
have
at the
you.
top of our show today that if you're watching by way of YouTube, make sure that you connect with us there. Make sure you follow us, like us, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell button, that icon there, so you can be notified when we upload a new show. We'll be moving toward an audio podcast here in not so distant future. So looking forward to getting those things ready so you'll have more opportunities and more places where you can consume the content and be a part of our dialogues on the Darren Newman Dialogue. So it's a great opportunity for us to share together. Thank you for being a part of it. Engage today, be a part, turn off all distractions and jump into the conversation with us today. Dr. Newman, where are we going on this edition today?
Thank you. Thank you, my friend. I wanted to, like you said, and I appreciate you mentioning that, I wanted to go on from where we were last time on this great idea of the I don't say it's a great idea because I'm the one that kind of come up with it, but these great questions, I should say, not the
Yeah.
great idea, but the great questions of life that we were talking about, which actually is just derived from great thinkers, philosophers, theologians, spiritual thinkers, great leaders, actually, that make up our humanity, that give us a sort of substance, as I call it, makes us whole. I've been thinking a lot about that, like what makes us whole. And I wanted to give a little bit of reflection. I'll refresh everybody's thoughts, including my own. When we were talking about last time, these four great questions of life: what do I believe? What do I know? What do I feel? And what do I do with it? And I began to think about that I wanted to cover something that is an aspect of that they're all four related. So I didn't want one to, like, though we might be thinking about it, as I asked last time, from those who would be watching, maybe what was their own particular question that they were dealing with at the time. Um, and though that is a part of it, they're all four related, such as, let me give an example. For what I believe in is going to have a direct impact of what I do in my life, and what I do in my life can run into the reasons why I'm doing it, what I know to be truth, or what I know to be goodness, even what I feel. Has to be, as I know we covered this not too long ago, of balancing, what I feel with what I know. So they're all wonderful ways of flashing off of one another. And I wanted to encourage uh, everybody today to think about this idea of connectivity, connecting. So with that comes this idea that I want to pull from and I want to play with, but it gives me some very practical help, which is coming here in a very short while. I hate to say the while because that sounds a lot longer than a few minutes, but if you give us just several minutes here, we'll work this down all the way through to become something very vital, and hopefully that you can appreciate in your one-to-one relationships and your relationships with the world. So it's really a very practical way that we can draw this on down. So let's focus upon the four great forces which we were talking about last time as related to these questions of beauty, goodness, truth, and what I call courage, or this movement of the spirit, this vitality of life. I like the word courage because we have to have courage to pursue anything that is important, including dreams. If we want to
Yeah.
pursue the great life, if we want to do something significant, every student that takes on an education has to have a bit of courage with that, to step into a classroom, especially if you've been out of school for quite some time or a couple of years or even more, uh, just whatever time. And talk with many students, they have to have a courage to follow that dream that they have of accomplishing great things for their life. You have to have courage to make an important difference in life, to stand up for anything. You have to have courage. So there's a sense of vitality in life that I want to talk about. So let's go back on this. So the four great questions: what I believe in, what do I know, what do I feel, and what do I do, has to do with these great ideas of courage, truth, beauty, and goodness, or otherwise said, beauty, truth, goodness, and courage. Those are the four great, I don't know, you could call them ideas, you could call them forces in humanity. It's what we like to think about, what drives our humanity. These four great, I don't know, call them ideas, call them notions, call them forces, call them whatever you will, but it's what we strive for. We love beauty, we love goodness, we love truth. We love to feel encouraged. We love to feel courageous. It's the four virtues of life. You could call it like that, something to that effect. But in so doing, what you have is something really very, very beautiful with these. And it has to do with really how we relate in life. But I don't want to go to that yet. I want to save that for the very last. I want to hook this in. So my idea of connectivity stretches this out. Now, and this is kind of my own thinking. Well, it is my own thinking, and I want to share it today, and hopefully it will inspire and encourage us. As everybody well knows, the four themes, or the three themes that we have on the website, is wonder, wisdom, and the wild. I want to concentrate upon the wild just for a second here, just to talk about this. I might have mentioned this last time, but I'll mention it again. When we think of what everything around us is made up of, we always think of the elements, that famous periodic table of elements, that we tried to, some of us might have even memorized that. I used to teach in a classroom. I taught a philosophy classroom, which also doubled as a science classroom. And there was this huge board of the periodic table of elements. And I would always stare at that while talking about, great philosophical insights. And that would be up there, carbon, oxygen, hydrogen. I always try to weigh this in. We're talking about things of the mind and the soul, and that's really physical reality. But I love this one time when someone said that, and I'm borrowing this, so it's not my own thought, but they said that if we think about what the world is comprised of, we'll name out the periodic table of elements. However, if the ancients did that, they would only think of four, and that was earth, air, fire, and water. Earth, air, fire, and water. Now, I began to ponder that for a second. I thought, earth, air, fire, water, those four directions of the earth. The ancients have always thought about that, especially the Native American elders would always talk about the four corners, this element of four. I began to think about that, and I began to ponder it. And this is where my own thought kind of comes in. Beauty, goodness, truth, courage. Earth, air, fire, water. And it clicked in that those four can be related. So let me explain this. And it needs a little bit, but you'll catch on. So let's take the idea of courage, which links up to what we believe in, but it also links up to the element of air. How could that be? Somebody might say, how do you get courage and air? Well, think about it like this. Whenever you want courage, you always take a deep breath, don't you? Yeah. Let's go. Right?
Right.
I mean, you might not pay attention to doing that, but when you're facing something that makes you nervous, you start breathing heavily. You want more air, right? I remember a coach one time in baseball told us that when you walk up to the plate, you're getting ready for the pitch, right? He said, take 3 deep breaths as your way up there. I mean, really go deep. Like that, and calm yourself down. Then when the pitch comes, you're not going to be like, so breathing heavy and then strike out just all of a sudden because you're so nervous you can't handle it.
Yeah.
So there's a sense, I thought, man, isn't that like air? Isn't that a beautiful thing about air, right? That we take that in. Could that be an indication? So I went one more and I thought, truth. How does truth relate it? And then I thought of water. And I'll tell you how I got to water and truth, because I have a glass right here. I'll show you something. One thing about truth is that we're transparent, aren't we? I mean, if I'm truthful with you as my friend and my brother, I'm transparent.
Mm-hmm.
And we're transparent with each other, isn't it?
Yeah.
And truth is a sort of, if you think about it poetically, it cleanses. It's like, let me get down to the truth of this. Right? If I take off, like if I find some, you could think of it in different ways, but if I find something that's like like say I find a coin, and the coin has laid out in the weather, to see it more clearly, what I've got, I'll wash it off, won't I? And I'll rub that with that water and a cleansing agent, but especially water, right? And that shines it out. It's like, that's what it is. So I thought, maybe poetically, philosophically, kind of spiritually, I'm thinking I might be onto something here. And then I went one more. I thought, goodness, I was reminded of Pearl Buck's book, The Good Earth, wherein we find goodness, wherein we find our food, and how great it is to show kindness through the giving of food, which comes from the earth, right? When someone shares with you some vegetables that they've grown, or share with you something that provides for you goodness, when they make something and they say, this is from my garden. And how great is that? A tree will give us fruits and nuts to eat. And in it, we shelter ourselves under the goodness of the shade. It's coming from the earth. See, it's kind of I don't know, there's something very beautiful about that. The last one actually was easy. Beauty is fire. I was reminded of a lot of things. The fire of passion, the igniting, when you find your passion in life, it ignites you. It gives you a fire within, maybe a drive, you could say it. Even when we fall in love, we have the fire of passion, right? It's Michelangelo, interestingly enough, in his poetry, a lot of people don't know that he wrote poetry, but he wrote it privately. The great Renaissance artist, Michelangelo, Sistine Chapel, the David, on and on, the genius of art, Michelangelo. He wrote in his poetry, there was something, I wrote about this one time, several years ago, about his linking of beauty and fire. He even had a quote, and I ran across it in a book, which put me onto it. It said, if he could have early on, if he could have gone away from beauty because beauty burned him, he said he would have done it because beauty had in his sense a burning. It burned him. And he mentions beauty and fire in his poetry numerous times. And it is linked to the idea of fire, beauty and fire. So if we work this all the way down, and I know this might sound a bit speculative, but trust me, it's really kind of interesting here. But if we start thinking about it, that we are connected to nature, we are connected to the world, we are connected. We're not isolated souls just walking around, not in connection. We're connection with all of existence. And there is a certain charge from that, a vitality that I want to give those listening, that there is something about us that is connected, and we can see great things about ourselves if we but look. That's the key. You have to look, you have to participate. You can't just get out of the world and in your box and pay attention to your screen and expect you to live vitally and make a difference, because you're never going to make a difference in front of a screen unless you're doing something with what you're putting on that screen for others to see. Right? That's the only difference. Yes. If you're just sitting back like you're just watching, you're not going to make a difference. I mean, how often does you can't make a difference by watching. It goes down to Teddy Roosevelt's famous thought, the man in the arena. Though people might laugh at him, though they might make fun of him, at least he is participating. His face may be down in the dust, he writes. He may be losing, but he's in on the middle of the fight. He said, unlike the timid souls who sit on the sidelines, and in the words of another poet, just hurl the cynic's ban. In other words, just hurl those words and say, I don't like that. I don't like that. I'm against that. I hate that. I hate that. I dislike that. I don't like that person. I don't do this. I hate. But what do you love? Right? What do you do? Like I've always heard people like what they don't do. Right? They've talked about this in we've heard this in times past. And I'll go ahead and speak it out in the ministry. People will brag on, I never did that. I never did that. I never did that. I never did that. I never do that. But what do you do? See it? What do you do? You're never going to move anything by what you don't do. You'll move it by what you do. And so connect. I mean, somebody might think, well, how does this all work out? Let's just talk about fire and water and truth. And I'm going to tell you what it is. It's the movement of the spirit to get you and I to be active. Us to be active in our world, to live, finally for the rest of our days, to truly live, to be connected, to make a difference. Because we've only got one shot. Carpe diem, said Horace, the old line, seize the day.
Yes.
Seize the day. The context of that famous work was stepping into a river. And I think I'm right about that. I sometimes get that mixed up with the great one, Sapere Aude. I think that was the river, which means Sapere Aude, dare to know. And that has to do with the river, I believe. So Horace's famous phrase, which a lot of people think carpe diem, or think of carpe diem, seize the day. But how about that one, Sapere Aude, dare to know? In other words, a person comes up to a river, right? And they don't know how deep it is. And so they just standing there on the side, just looking. I said, I wonder how deep that is, right? I wonder how deep that is. How deep do you think that is? They keep on talking about it. And it's walk out, swim, go for it. Take that breath of courage, wind of courage, and get on it. Right? It's that. So with the fire of passion, the water of truth, the cleansing water of truth, the goodness of the earth, and with the winds of courage, begin to live. So then let me stretch this out even more. Again, we're coming down to a practicality, and we're not there yet. Let me go over one more thing, and then we'll be there. It's like two more. Let me give you another illustration on this, another take. So I began to think about something a little bit deeper. I thought, my mind sort of connecting these, and I thought, what about all of life? How does it fit in maybe to these four? And I began to think, well, I was listening, I think on the time I started listening to the birds singing, I thought, creatures of the air. I thought, wait a second. Creatures of the air, creatures of the water, all aquatic life. Creatures of the earth, plant, animal. And then I thought, if that works out, who's the creature of fire? Us. I want to just stop right there, just for a second. Creature of the air, or the birds, creature of the water, the aquatic life, creatures of the earth, creatures of fire. It's us. Why are we creatures of fire? Someone might ask. Well, let me teach this to us. Without fire, we're not even human. We don't eat cooked food. We would have to live in temperate climates. Give us fire, that's ours. We control it. We heat our homes. We cook with it. We gather around it. We light our paths. It has even become the symbol of knowledge. I remember the great movie Dead Poets Society, when they passed the candle of knowledge, or the candle of education. I don't know what they call it in the film, but they'll light the candle of knowledge. The famous scripture, you'll remember this, my friend. Your word is a light unto my path, and a lamp unto my feet. See, light, lamp, light, fire, warmth, passion. There it is.
Yes.
I found that fascinating.
Yes.
Now for the practical side of this, if that's all understandable, that's some speculation, and maybe one of these days I'll write more on that people can have that. I think there's a lot more to that than meets the eye. So I will just say that maybe, or save that for another day. But then one more thing that I think fits in with our relationships. I teach a great course at Ohio University, and I love the title, The Philosophy of Love. I mean, that's really a good title. I love to offer that around Valentine's Day, so the semester will come right around Valentine's Day, so we can really do that. And some people might smile at that, but actually it's a profound course, because we talk about all aspects of love, how we express that love, what it means for us. And when you stop to think about in love relationships, however they are, whether they be friendship or companion, romantic love, or just parent to child, whatever, these relationships have these beautiful elements of beauty, goodness, truth and courage within them. I want to share this, and this is where it gets really practical for me, or at least in relationships. And I will say this, that the best relationships we have in life, those that make the difference in our lives, those whom we cherish, exhibit all four of these. Mm-hmm. If I speak about like any relationship, if I even speak about a companion relationship, someone that you are in love with, you will find beauty there, and you will find that they are beautiful. They are beautiful people. They are beautiful in whatever they do, how they appear. They will be honest with you, right? Honest means truth. They will always be honest with you. It's one of the vital things. Immanuel Kant said that honesty was the basis of all human relationships and respect. Mm-hmm. To be honest with me, right? You're not hiding something from me. You're honest. You're good. See, it's kindness of the earth, kindness, goodness. You're good to me. You're kind to me. You always have my back. You're always a person that will help me out. And you always encourage me. You believe in my dreams with me, and so too I with you, right? You give me courage when you think, I mean, I think, you might doubt, someone might doubt themselves, and they think, man, I can't do this. And that person who truly loves you, who is that person of your life, and I mean, I'm not just talking about a companion romantic love. I'm talking about any form of love, be it friendship, parental, anyone who loves you as a person in their lives will encourage you. You can do this. Mm-hmm. You can do this. They believe in you, and they give you those words of inspiration. In spiritus, spirit, life, right? Breath, in spiritus. See, it's so amazing, these connections. So again, in our relationships, we have to cultivate all four. Cultivate all four. Beautiful experiences, truthful ways, beauty in our lives, goodness, kindness, encouragement. It's all there. They all flow backwards and forwards and with one another. And to be honest, and let me be forthright, the reason we need to cultivate all four is because if we live a life that is absent of one, it does so severe damage to the relationship. Mm-hmm. I mean, how often do people endure awful relationships because one of those is not there, right?
Yes.
Like, for example, you might find, beautiful experiences or goodness, and they might be honest, but when it comes to achieving your dreams, they'll tell you, you can't do that. You cannot listen to those awful words. You cannot do that. See, they're telling you no, or they're taking away your vitality of your spirit. They're unencouraging to you, or they don't share with you beautiful experiences, or they don't provide for you a sense of beauty and passion or anything, or if they're not honest with you. I mean, you can have all three of those, but one out of four will, and let me speak freely of my own thoughts, it will kill the relationship. You can have all three and not be kind. I mean, what if you're abusive? I mean, it's just there. And I want people to think about that. I know it's speculative. I know that it's not just like clear 1, 2, 3, 4, but think in broader ways. Think of connection. Think of how it circulates, not how it just lines in like 1, 2, 3, 4 in a line. I can't do that. Life doesn't work out like works out in a beautiful circle, a beautiful embracing, a beautiful way that we can have of expressing ourselves. And that's what I've been thinking from our time last of talking about these four great questions, winding it all the way down to love and relationship and our experience with life. So that's where I've been, my friend. That's the connection.
So fun to listen to all that and to make that connection with you. And I don't know that, you know, when you were talking about the connection between the four: courage, truth, goodness, beauty, and the four: air, water, earth, and fire, my brain started to fire on some cylinders, and I started to think about how they related. And I came to the same conclusion while you were speaking, before you came to the applicable part of what you were talking about. I came to the same thought. I doubt anybody can really read this, and it's kind of scratch, but I made those immediate connections. And then you can see my dotted lines started to talk about how each thing you could actually transfer from one to the other, because courage does need truth, goodness needs beauty, air and water need each other.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
The water evaporates, goes into the air, comes back to us as rain.
That's good. That's good. I love how you put that.
Fire purges the earth. So there is that connectivity where we need
great dialogue. Great dialogue on that. Yeah. See, it's the power of that dialogue. When you get those thoughts rolling, your thoughts will dialogue with your own other thoughts. You know, you're dialoguing within inside yourself. You're thinking, well, wait a second. There's something here. And that's when we begin to really, I think about life, truly embrace life. We can figure out what greatness is.
Yeah.
And in our relationships, if we but think about those and cultivate the four and see them, it's like, it's so relevant that the next time that you're cooking food, you think fire, right? You think passion, and then you also think goodness, that I'm providing something of kindness to someone. I mean, it's so beautiful, isn't it? It's like they all blend together. I love how you put that to stand on truth, you have to have courage. To move in truth, you have to have passion, right? You have to have these. They're all corresponding one with the other.
It's not just linear. It wasn't just a linear connection.
Exactly.
There's spokes and webs and networking.
That's right.
Throughout those 8 words that you used today.
Yes. What'd you say? I'm sorry.
I said there's networking and webbing throughout those 8 words.
Yes, there are.
Used today. Yeah.
Connections.
Correct.
The beautiful connection. That's the reason that it's a tragedy when people don't look at the world around us with any sense of honor. Like, for example, you might find somebody that just walks out into a plot of ground and doesn't see the beautiful woodlands, but they see dollar signs, and they'll clear cut a whole entire forest filled with beauty just to find something of money that never gives any thought to the other 3. They're thinking what I could do with this money, but what about the truth of something? What about passion? What about beauty? Look at what you're doing and how you become so insulated in your own concerns that you think nothing of anything else but you. And isn't that the cardinal sin of humanity, that we find ourselves so isolated and unconnected? See, it's just like one thing, the absence of anything else, just like one point, one of the 4, absent of all the other 3. It won't do you any good. It'll kill everything. And it's tragic.
There's a message that was pushed many years ago to me, and I bought into it, and I'm not sure how others feel about it, but the idea of a balanced life. And
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure I buy into a perfectly balanced life. I think we find balance
Mhm.
at moments in our lives, or at least this is the way it's happened for me. I've found balance in certain times and seasons. And if you see it as a
Mhm.
scale, there might be that moment where you could slow down in slow motion and say, oh, there's imbalance, but it immediately is moving to another,
Exactly.
imbalance a
Yeah,
bit while
yeah.
we're striving and seeking things. So I think there's moments of great courage, great truth, great goodness, great beauty. And we want to balance our lives with all of those. But there'll be
Mhm.
times that you'll feel more beauty. There'll be times you'll feel more goodness. There'll
Exactly,
be times you feel more
exactly,
truth and more
exactly.
courage. And I think we should give ourselves permission to do that, to be
Absolutely,
seeking after things
absolutely.
in our lives to enrich us at certain seasons and times.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. It's like the flow of the season. I think I might have even mentioned this last time. I didn't mention about the flow of the seasons, but like your point, there is this coming on of different seasons, uh, different things that we must emphasize. It's, and I think I mentioned this last time. There will be times that we must concentrate upon that one specific one because it needs to be concentrated upon for whatever reasons at that moment.
Right.
Uh, I mean, I must be honest with you. I must be just sometimes almost brutally honest in order to achieve, goodness. Or
Yes.
I mean, I'm concentrating. I'll aim there, and we give ourselves permission to play with those because it's circulating. It's
Yes.
okay. It's
Yes.
okay. We'll find the balance when we're open to the balance, when I'm open to life, when I'm open to the circumstances for whatever I am embracing. That was the ancient Stoics point. Sometimes you have to roll with it because it's your reaction that's going to be the key. If you
Mhm.
start trying to, you know, kick against this one and move that, do that, you're going to be in a, a frightfully difficult position. But if you embrace it, you say, let's see what this will do. Let's be open to all four. The passion, the truth, the
Yes.
fires of uh, goodness. I'm not naming all four there, but it's just this embracing of the four and watch how it all plays out. And what a wonderful thing life is, man. What a wonderful thing
It truly
that you can
is.
have. Yes, what a wonderful greatness is
Yes.
ours by,
Yes.
again, embracing wonder,
Truly.
wisdom, and the wild. There it is.
I love that. I thank everybody for being a part of today's time
Yes,
together.
thank you very
And
much.
it's
Appreciate that.
absolutely a joy to always be able to sit down with you, Darren, and talk about all these wonderful things that life provides to us. And I guess as I'm thinking in closing, courage, truth, goodness, beauty, all those things have value, but usually with the value comes great cost at times to obtain these
Yes.
sort of things. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're feeling
Yes.
like in your life, maybe you are going through some struggles or some pain or at the least discomfort, you may be on the road to courage. You may be on the road to truth. You may be
Yes.
grasping goodness. You may be finding beauty. Those things do have a cost, and they will sometimes challenge you and cause you to stretch and to be more
Mm-hmm.
than you've been. So I love this. I'm going to play with this all week long. I'm going to take these 8 words. I'm going to create all kinds of diagrams out of them, I'm sure, this week, and have a good time figuring out how they relate to one another and how I can gain more of them in my life. And we hope you will do
Yes.
the same.
Yes. I'm glad you will, my friend. Thank you
Yes,
for that.
that's awesome.
That's encouraging.
Fantastic. Any final
Yeah.
words from you today, Dr. Newman, as we wrap up? Any
I think
challenges?
I want to emphasize this beautiful idea of connectivity and that you're going to be okay. I think that, and let me just be honestly give everyone from my heart, um, and I'm going to truthfully say this with passion and with kindness. I want you to achieve your dreams. Breathe in that wind of encouragement and inspiration, that the reason that you're here is to live a better life
Mhm.
and have better relationships, make better decisions, and enjoy better days.
Yeah,
And it will be good.
it will indeed. Thank you everyone for watching or listening or however you found us today. We hope you'll be with us next time on the Darren Newman Dialogues.